Welcome back to the final day of the North American LCS. I'm here with Zyrene ahead of our marquee matchup, TSM versus CLG, and we wanted to take a moment to break down one of the key matchups within this series, the mid lane matchup. There you have it on your screens, Bjergsen versus Huhi. Looking at these two guys as laners, I think no surprise to anyone, Bjergsen at first glance does look like the superior player.
Oh yeah, he's been incredibly dominant in the lane. His fundamentals of CSing and punishing are top-notch in the entire league, but then both of them are actually comparable in team fights. Their damage per minute is very high for both of them, being 2 and 3 respectively, but then outside of the lane is really where Huhi shines.
Right, as you can see there on your screens, the time that each of these members spend in their lane is essentially equivalent, 64 to 64.4%. That is time spent in the lane between 2 and 15 minutes. Now, where are they spending the other 36% of their time? Let's take a look. Go to the top lane. Respectively, between the two of them, time spent within proximity of the top laners. Could either be in their lane, in my lane, or in the jungle.
Exactly, as long as you're pairing up with your top laner. And this is just signaling that Darshan and Huhi pair up very frequently to make a kind of a triangle for the top side of the map. Whereas we've talked about Bjergsen roaming a lot more with things like Galio and Taliyah to even Hauntzer's lane and top. But the average that Huhi has is just so overwhelming. It's #1 in the whole league for those top laners.
Exactly. Those numbers there, 5 and 1, are their position amongst mid laners and their relationship to top laners. Let's hop to the jungle and see how much time they're spending with the junglers. Hey, wait, again, Huhi above Bjergsen.
And this is the surprising thing, because we talk about the Danish duo of Bjergsen and Svenskeren, where they keep trying to get mid priority. They kind of get together and then go into the enemy jungle. But it's still whichever jungler, whether it be Dardoch or Omar God, Huhi has a much higher percentage in terms of how much he's invading with that person or how much they're teaming up and giving each other help.
All right, let's take it a step further and look at the ADCs. Once again, the top two here, Stixxay and Huhi, spending far more time together than Doublelift and Bjergsen.
Yeah, and these are going to be like 0.7% here, 2% there, 2% there, but they add up over time, and we're talking about a 12-minute window in this game, or a 13-minute window, where you're pairing up. So Huhi is just spending ever so little, just more time with his laners. And remember, this is over 40-plus games. There will be games where you aren't even playing to your bottom side at all, but Huhi still, we've already seen it, first, second, and second for top jungle and AD carry so far. Then that just means that over time, he's just spending way more time with everybody on the map.
One role left to look at, and that's the supports on your screen now. A 2%, over 2% difference here. Aphromoo and Huhi, again, #2. Biofrost and Bjergsen, #6.
Yeah, and we're looking at Aphromoo, who roams mid a whole bunch. He'll even roam to the top lane through lane, but this is just showing that the synergy across the entire team of Counter Logic Gaming is very high. We talked about like the memes of friendship and team play that really goes very deep with Counter Logic Gaming, where it is about playing as a team, about holding each other up. And even we saw that CSD deficit for Huhi at the start. This is overcome by the fact that the team, when you're playing against them, it's not just Bjergsen versus Huhi, it's Bjergsen and the rest of his team versus all of Counter Logic Gaming in whichever lane has advantages for them.
Again, there you have the numbers on your screen. Huhi, of all mid laners, spending the most time within proximity of his entire team across the league. And this it speaks exactly to that kind of intangible element of CLG, which is why they find themselves to be successful split after split after split. And we always say team play. Finally, we've got some numbers that kind of help us suggest there is truth to that statement.
And when you look at these numbers, you think, okay, if he's #1 in top, he can't be #2 in every other role. There's got to be some give and take, right? If he's giving so much here, he can't be playing at bottom side, but there's different games, and it's showing just flexibility in CLG, where if they have a losing matchup in one lane, they'll play to another, and they can do that and play to any side of the map that they want.
The other thing it speaks to is the fact that they group more than just people in pairs. Again, we see CLG consistently bringing 4 people, 5 people to a lane to make team-oriented plays, and that does feed into those numbers. Now the question is, how will this actually play out in the matchup today? Will Huhi be allowed to roam as much as he wants with the pressure that Bjergsen's able to put on him with those incredible laning statistics?
So the big thing is that Bjergsen's going to have to push that advantage of the lane statistics and have some type of favorable matchup for him. So if you're up against an Aurelion Sol or Taliyah from Huhi, I expect Taliyah to be very active, and I expect Huhi to just get out of the lane and to help the others. You kind of take the loss mid, have a winning side lane of some kind, and if Bjergsen is pushing up, that leaves an opportunity to gank him. So I feel like Aphromoo and Darshan will be in charge of helping clear out the control wards and keep Huhi safe so that he has the priority in mid over Bjergsen.
Just a few thoughts and a deeper dive into what will be a key matchup in today's marquee series. Once again, thank you for spending the time here with myself and Zyrene. Now it's time to throw it over to the casters to get into some games.
Where's Zyrene go? I don't know. There he is. You changed your suit really fast. But you can. You're the fastest suit changer I ever seen. Why are you a caster? You
I'm
should
quite
set
good
world
now.
records.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've tried it like 3 times now. I'm getting better. Getting better.
You're getting there. All right, welcome back to Echo Fox versus Cloud9. Before we get into game number 2, we still got a little bit of business to talk about in game number 1. Our player of the game goes to Smoothie for those awesome Alistar plays and engages.
Oh, yeah. Smoothie, he was showing off that game. And playing Alistar, it's a champion I love to see him on. Didn't get enough cowbell that game
No,
for my
no
taste,
donk.
but
Not enough
definitely 0-0-12, 100% KP. I feel like you can't not give it to him at that point because he's just really, like you talked about, the catalyst for the starts of those fights, and the follow-up CC was just fantastic.
This game, we're also going to see a change on the side of the Echo Fox roster. You mentioned it last time. The 80 carry role was one that's still seeing a lot of sub action, and we will see Keith this game instead of Mash.
And that's kind of the substitution that they've been making, is just back and forth, Keith and Mash. And I feel like the big thing here is they also just kind of change the shot calling a little bit, because I know these are both guys who partake in what the rotations are and how to play the game. So that kind of changes with it. As well as you can see Keith in good spirits. You know, he didn't lose, so
Exactly.
he's coming in with all smiles.
Everybody else is 0-1 for the day. He's 0-0 right now, so it's time
Reset.
for him. Yeah, this is how you reset, which is what Echo Fox needs to do. When you lose the first game in such a sweeping way, you've really got to be able to make sure that you mentally reset. Come back into game number 2, treat it as the start of the series. First game, okay, that didn't happen. Like, nobody's still thinking about that game. You come into game 2, this is what's on your mind now. Find the win, take her to game 3.
Exactly. That's how you untilt the team.
Let's see
See
if
how
they
they
can
do
do it in Champion Select for the second time. Echo Fox banning out LeBlanc, Cloud9 banning out Caitlyn. I wonder if there's ever going to be a day where we don't see Caitlyn banned again, because over the course of the past few patches, I don't think so.
Yeah, spoiler alert, maybe some nerfs in the future. Who knows? That was kind of vague. That was like,
I was going to say, that was really
there
vague.
may or may not be nerfs in the future. Who knows?
Question mark ping thinking
Not even
emoji.
me, actually,
I
so.
don't know. Echo Fox banning away Syndra and Thresh, along with that first LeBlanc, targeting Jensen, as well as removing some playmaking potential from Smoothie. Gragas banned out by Cloud9, will not be allowing Acadian onto that one for the second game in a row.
Yeah, and this is such a strange pick ban so far because of the fact that these teams don't show that they really want to play Maokai or they really want to play anything but this first pick Jarvan in terms of what that meta is. Because we saw Zach Maokai go through. I feel like Cloud9 picked Maokai here for impact/contracts. And Contracts shown he wants to play Zach, so I'm feeling like that game 1 pick ban was just very strange. And so I feel like Cloud9 on red side may just take Maokai Zach.
Let's see, Maokai locked
Trista,
in. There's
Trist.
half of it. All right, you're half right at least. And you know half rounds up to a whole in math, so you're all the way right already.
I love you, man.
Yeah,
Oh
you
my
got
God.
this. You're already all the way right, even if they don't pick Zach. You can be right and wrong at
It's
the
like
same time.
Tristana or Callista here, whichever one they want. But like they showed that they want the Tristana a little bit more in the last pick and ban, with Callista not going picked or banned at all. So Maokai Tristana makes a lot of sense here. The Zach, seems like they didn't want to play it after yesterday.
I mean, Sneaky went 5-0-5 on Tristana in game number 1. If it ain't broke, why fix it?
Yep.
He had a phenomenal performance on the champion. Let's see if he can do it again. Plus, it just has so much threat in the lane, too, like we talked about. You get Smoothie on a playmaker, put Sneaky on Tristana, there's a real kill threat.
Yeah, and even though they changed out the 80 carry on Echo Fox's side, they're still going to go with the Kog'Maw here. And like you said, kill threat is a real possibility for the Tristana if she's able to get a good enough trade on the Kog'Maw. And now does Echo Fox lock in their mid laner? Because I feel like Cloud9 may pick Orianna here. It's your favorite E-girl. She presses E.
Yeah, you press E on your ally. That's where the name comes from, obviously.
I love it.
Let's see if Jensen does go with his mid laner, though. Let's see if they want to pick up one of those comfort champs for him. The Orianna, easily his most played champion so far this split. Twice as many games as his second most played champion, which is that Syndra, which we see banned away. But they might just be going, okay.
The Janna counter.
You know what's fun, Irene? I talked to Robin right before this game, and I was saying, do something cool for the end of regular split. I was like, do something cool. Give me some sort of crazy pick. And he looked at me for a second. He was like, maybe.
Yeah.
So at least we're getting something to shake the boat a little bit. Playing the Blitzcrank. We'll have to see if Smoothie can hit those pulls and make those big flashing moves.
I mean, he has played Blitzcrank quite a bit. He's played it 3 times so far this split, 100% win rate on it as well. So it's a champion that Smoothie has had good performances on so far.
Galio banned out by Cloud9. They played it last game. They've already got Maokai, though, so they're not really concerned about it this time around.
Yeah.
Cassiopeia banned out by Echo Fox.
Well, you don't want to have the enemy have Galio and Jarvan. We just saw what that ended up doing to Echo Fox when they were able to combine both. And that's kind of the combo that I always have my eyes on when I play against a Jarvan or a Galio that's locked in is the other one going to come through?
Corki banned out by Cloud9. In case you guys weren't paying close attention to the damage meters last game, even though Cloud9 won, the highest person's damage on their team was Jensen, I believe, around 18K, and Froggen still had 20K on the Corki, even though his team lost. That is what Corki does. He puts up insane damage numbers, but Froggen, especially on that champion, very, very capable. Even though they lost game number 1, Cloud9 does not want to face it again, and Echo Fox will ban out Gnar, thinking that maybe that Maokai is jungle.
Yeah, and that means that the Cho'Gath would just be a double flex here between the Maokai and the
guessing.
Cho'Gath.
Keep them guessing.
Go to either lane here, and now they're going to counterpick for Jensen in the mid lane as their last pick. Orianna, Taliyah, still on the table, still some neutral picks, and they're kind of afraid, I think, of like maybe the Lucian coming through for Echo Fox, so they wouldn't want to pick something blind here like the Taliyah and have to play that matchup.
Well, they did ban Lucian in game number 1, first rotation as well, so they definitely had that in mind to a degree. Shen locked in for Echo Fox. Brandini made those moves last time. We'll see if he can make them again. Not really sure why they're having a couple different top laners. You got to at least cover something that can get played mid. Did they do it?
Our producer was like, Urgot will get played today. He called the
did
Shyvana
call it.
yesterday.
Ah,
Not yet.
all
but
right. There's still a chance.
Yep.
Echo Fox pulls out the win here. We might get to see the Urgot in game number 3. They do lock in that Lucian. That's what you were talking about, though. That's what Cloud9 didn't want to play blind into. So now what do they pick for Jensen to deal with this threat in the mid lane?
You could pick the Taliyah, the Orianna. I feel like Orianna would probably be best here. Because, like, you look
Plus
at what's going
Jensen.
I mean, it's Jensen, right? 16 Orianna games, twice as many as his next played, which is Syndra. So, kind of an easy call to make there. This will be his 17th Orianna game. This split 15?
Well, no, I think our stats
yes,
are
yes,
currently
yes,
for our stats are pre this week, and he played it once this week, so this will be number 18.
Yours is including Rift Rivals.
Oh, is
Yes.
it?
In terms of the NALCS
Unlucky.
split, he has played 15.
All right, cool. So this is going to be number 16.
Yep.
Quite a lot of performances on this champion, almost all of them impressive. Win rate of 81% over the course of those games.
Nice. So yeah, very, very proficient on that champion. So locks it in, but I'm looking at the Echo Fox comp and I'm going, where's your magic damage? A little bit from Kog'Maw, but we'll see what comes through because playing Lucian into double tank, I always just want to rip my hair out because it's like it feels so bad to go against a Maokai because you know if the game goes past 25 minutes that you're not going to be able to do much against him. And Froggen's going to have to play this perfectly because he's got that 500 range Lucian, very low range. So you're always in range of Tristana. You're always in range of the Orianna. You have to dodge the Blitzcrank hooks. And then if you're ever close enough to the Maokai or Cho'Gath, you're just a goner. So I feel like this Lucian is going to be so hard for Froggen to actually operate with. He has to snowball early. And that has not been Echo Fox's greatest strength at all this split.
Crowd roars to life, and we head into the Rift for game number 2 between Echo Fox and Cloud9. Cloud9 wins here. They end up closing out their regular split on a 6-series win streak. Absolutely impressive show from them, considering at one point they were 6-6.
Yep, 6-6, and then they ended up going for the rest of the split on that 6-win streak after.
5 right now.
Yep.
Echo Fox still has the opportunity with back-to-back wins here to snatch that away from them, get themselves a series win of their own, but they will have to go through that big tanky front line, like you said. And we talked about this last game, Zyrene, but I really want to touch on it now because it's something Azael mentioned yesterday as well. The speedy nature of the games on this patch, and I think a big factor in it is you're seeing so many of these compositions where it's 2 giant damage threats, like a Tristana and an Orianna, and then 3 big, beefy frontliners that once your team gets ahead, they just won't die.
Yeah, and you always have ways back into the game, too, because they don't need a lot of items or a lot of gold.
That was close.
He's fishing. He's fishing.
That was almost animal abuse. Because he's a pug. Normal Kog'Maw wouldn't count. That joke wouldn't make any sense. This one does.
I never was calling like the Void Puppy ahead of time.
I still thought we
I
should have
never
called him
understood it.
Dogmaw because you only
Yeah,
change
yeah,
one
what
letter.
is that?
Yeah, Pugmaw. Yeah, it's specific. Don't get me wrong. It's not a bad name. The Dogmaw literally only changes one letter, and it sounds goofier, and that skin's pretty goofy.
Yeah, I guess you know they were like challenge convention. You know, no Dogma. That's too expected.
Yeah, it's too normal, too mainstream. Hipster Cogma. Let's see what he can do, though. If he can get those big tennis ball DPS shots out there during these team fights and hit multiple people at once, he might be able to accomplish what MASH could not in the previous game. Also worth noting, Echo Fox is running that new bot lane strat of barrier 80 carry heal support.
Yep. So this is actually something that started popping up in the LPL, where Ardent Sensor, Wind Speakers, really broken. Like everybody's talking about this.
Super bust up.
People are like running Morgana or Trundle with Stoneborn Pact to heal to allow the use of Ardent Sensor. So now they're saying, all right, let's just keep this safe. Let's just make sure that our hyper carry has more survivability. So the person with Wind Speakers and is going to buy all the heals get increased items is going to run heal, and then the 80 carry is going to run barrier. So there's no real kill threat in this bottom lane. It's just try to make it as non-interactive as possible, disengage what's happening, and then survive for the later parts of the game.
It was Jat that I was talking to as well, as Brandini, level 2 on this gen, just smacks impact around game after game. But Jat was saying how, I can't remember which team it was, but one of those teams in the LPL ended up just saying, you know what, forget Sightstones, forget level 2 support items, forget anything that's not an Ardent Sensor, bum rush Ardent Sensor, get it done at 13 minutes, I think? And then you just take the turret. It's instantly down.
Yeah, you can. Anyway, that's something that Gate did. Gate bought the latest Sightstone in the NALCS that we've seen like all year at 18 minutes plus, something like that. But look at this, they're getting engaging.
Here we go,
And here
Cloud9.
comes Contracts. Contracts?
Not willing to let him go for it. Nice pull back onto the enemy support. Can they bring him down? I think so. First blood of the Sneaky.
Yeah, and they're just gonna gank that lane really early on. Contracts comes through, gets his root in, and that was mostly Smoothie. Again, flash knockup with the Ignite on. Even though they burn both the summoner spells of the barrier and the heal, there's those flashes that remain up for the bottom lane of Echo Fox, but it's gonna force the Kog'Maw back and put a little bit of a damper on how early this game is gonna start getting going for that bottom side.
Yup, good stuff for C9 there. The playmaking support, the damage from Sneaky, and of course Contracts willing to show up and provide that extra CC is a recipe for success.
They're looking for maybe the Maokai in the jungle here, because they're both collapsing on it.
Acadian will move down, Gate moving up, Contracts moving out.
Yep. Just going back and forth there. Believe that Acadian did take away the Raptors later. Hold on, though. Contracts came in. Yeah, this was the pull. Like, the pull is the big part of that. Smoothie pretty much did all of that with the flash knockup and then the pull. So, yeah, just a good route there from Contracts to be on that side of the map as well.
And going for the knockup first on Blitzcrank is such an effective strategy because it makes it so much easier to hit your pull. A lot of the times you'll panic them too because they know they're already in the mix now, and it's a lot harder.
And they'll
to
usually
respond.
flash after, too. They'll usually flash immediately afterward. So they get knocked up, and then they're like, well, I don't want to get pulled. So they'll flash, making the pull that if it does land, pretty much a guaranteed kill. But Smoothie's here. He's going to give some HP over to Jensen with the Relic Shield. And Jensen just wants to clear this wave out and try to get back, but he's got another wave that's crashing in because it's just so slow for him to clear it. Whoa.
He does still have barrier, and he has to watch out for those piercing
Everyone
lights.
help!
Everybody's protecting Jensen. Save the VIP. Don't let Froggen get that last little bit of damage onto him. Froggen doing about what you would expect from such a powerful mid laner with such a strong laning pick, though. 10 CS up over his opponent, forcing him out of lane as well.
And they were
this
afraid of this.
isn't a lower tier mid laner. This is Jensen.
Yeah, they were afraid of this, right? They banned out the Lucian in the second phase in the first game to make sure that Froggen doesn't have it. But Froggen has that Ignite, has an aggressive playstyle on this Lucian as well, but he needs to get going. Like we said, the fact he's applying this pressure by himself onto Jensen is very big for Echo Fox, because if they can push this, you can see they're even in gold right now because of the fact that he has such a large CS advantage. So he has to push this so that he can be ahead of the curves in terms of where the tanks are in the game.
And even though Cloud9 got first blood and they got it with assist money tacked on, Echo Fox is still staying point for point with them in terms of CS. A lot of it, there's a big farm advantage there in the jungle, huge farm advantage in mid lane. So these guys are not sleeping on the early game.
No, not at all. But that's what they have to do, right? You have to accelerate the pace of this game and get to that point where these tanks just aren't as tanky as your damage can actually be at that point. It's just how much damage you can deal.
I mean, I know you are a tank player, and games like these just feel so good when you're the Maokai and you're looking at that enemy team comp and you're just thinking, Cinderhulk, Tabby, Righteous Glory, and how effective that is going to be, because your itemization path is a no-brainer. And it just makes the game so much easier because you know how effective you're going to be. You know how easy the playmaking will happen.
Yeah, Jensen, they're going to try to gank him here with Acadian. And mostly just to get him off the wave. And it's just everybody kind of showing up. Level 6, though, does come out for Brandini with another taunt here to just to trade back with Cho'Gath. This is an effective pick into the Cho'Gath as well, because the Shen will do percent HP damage with the pass-through of his Q, the Vorpal Blade. And then Cho'Gath looks like he's itemizing armor against the team comp, and it's percent HP magic damage that Shen deals.
Right. Cho'Gath going for that Righteous Glory at the start because of how effective it is just in general for the champion. One of the biggest problems with Cho'Gath and why up until his most recent buffs he was never part of the meta is he's big and he's derpy and he's stompy and he can't get on top of people, but Righteous Glory will help you make up for it.
Yeah, Righteous Glory means you get in there, you add another slow to your kit as well. So he ends up having an E slow, Q slow, a W silence, and then that slow on top of his slow. So, heard you like slows.
Yeah, here's some slows. Slow Gath.
Slow kit.
Slows you down, he moves pretty slow himself, but once he closes that distance, the damage is absolutely crazy. And that might be something that Cloud9 can catch Echo Fox off guard with once the fights do start breaking out. Still going to be a while before those happen, though, considering we're only 7.5 minutes into the game, and considering the first Drake is Ocean, which normally doesn't get the attention that you would see from a Mountain, or even more so from an Infernal.
Yeah.
Teams are happy just farming it up.
I do feel like if you're Cloud9 or Echo Fox, though, you do want this Ocean Drake to deny it from the other team. If Echo Fox get it, it improves their lane phase, which, like I said, Echo Fox want to have a good mid lane here, and then their bottom lane wants to scale. Oh, hold on, play that. No scale today.
I don't know about this one, Cyrene.
Here
It's looking
comes
bad for Echo
Brandini.
Fox, but they're keeping themselves alive for the time being. Sneaky grabbing the kill. Brandini not able to make his entrance.
Yeah, I believe he was interrupted there by Impact from a range. So Brandini had backed up to try and stand united, but Impact was on top of that.
I love how Cloud9 is playing around their own Blitzcrank pick. The flash from Contracts to start the fight off. They're setting Smoothie's pulls up for success time and again.
Yeah, and they got a lot of summoner spells out of the bottom lane there. All 4 from Echo Fox's bottom lane are down. So we're talking about this, Ignite and Exhaust not being up. It's the barrier and the heal here. And it feels like they just have to play on the back foot, try to play defensive. But when you're playing defensive, there's still some avenues in. And the Janna's still level 4, not even close to having that Monsoona.
I mean, there's defensive options, but for every defensive option, you've got a massive crowd control solution when you've got both Maokai and Blitzcrank on the team. When you have both the Nature's Grasp, I believe that's what it's called. Is it Nature's Grasp?
Yep.
Okay, Nature's Grasp.
Yeah.
Ha! I got it.
I know, it's been messing with me.
He's got that, and then
Well.
he's got like Twisted Advance.
Yep.
So like Twist and Grasp, they're similar words. It's, I don't know, it's a little bit of a tricky one sometimes.
Yeah.
But you've got that, combine it with his W, along with the fact that Smoothie's got his knock up and his pull, and Sneaky's just DPSing the entire time.
Yeah, and you had to deal with these frontline tanks, and this isn't like a dive composition by any means. You had to be able to shred through those tanks and then get to that back line. We talked about the range of Lucian versus the range of things like Tristana. It's no comparison at all. The Tristana is going to be very far away, so she might be able to actually deal damage to this back line while the back line is trying to deal with her front line.
Want to point out also, Jensen rushed Ninja Tabbies this game, along with his Lost Chapters, really taking the defensive option against Froggen's Lucian, wanting to stop that snowball at all costs. Exactly what you were talking about. As long as he doesn't get an early start with 4 kills, just completely dominating the game, his life is going to be very difficult as things go on. Contracts working towards that Cinderhulk, Acadian doing the same. Acadian not going for an offensive option in the jungle this time. Jarvan is another champion that in the past you have seen Warrior on more frequently than Cinderhulk. Cinderhulk very strong these days though.
Yeah.
And Acadian this time around recognizes the need for him to be the tank on the team. Smoothie,
It was the bait.
pull on the gate, the damage comes in and it's going to be 1-for-1.
And it looks like they sacrificed him to get a kill onto Keith there. So Keith will pick one up, but one goes over back to Sneaky.
Sneaky 3-0 and 0 on this Tristana, going closer and closer to that Infinity Edge. Then Froggen duking it out. Shockwave finds its way onto the Echo Fox mid laner, who returns some damage of his own, but he's rapidly losing this trade, having to jump away. Pops the culling. Maybe thinking about going back in, but respects Jensen's Orianna enough to not do that.
Yeah, Jensen saw the opportunity and went forward. And like you said, rushed the Ninja Tabi, so that actually puts a big damper on the damage that Lucian would be doing at this point in the game. Because he's mostly auto-attack based after the Q cast. He gets a lot of those rapid fires like we were saying there for Lightslinger passive.
Cloud9 going for that early Ocean Drake for themselves. Seeing this opportunity shouldn't really be too much of a difficulty for them. Sneaky and Contracts. Contracts will tank it all up. Sneaky's got the damage, and there you go. First Drake goes over to C9. Second one's Infernal, Zyrene. This is what we want for the last game of these two teams in the regular split. Something to fight over.
Yeah, and look at this Froggen. They know he's going to get help, so Smoothie's already here.
Canadian goes in. All they needed to do was pop the flash from Jensen. They get both summoner spells. And Brandini just stops by to say hi.
Yeah, and Impact will push the wave out, gets himself a CS advantage, and the fact that he has the passive of Cho'Gath that keeps scaling up and giving him more HP, giving him mana every time he kills a minion, means even when Brandini trades with him at this point, it's one of the reasons that Cho'Gath is such a good top laner too, is even if you're under turret and you're pushed in, you'll always have a way to not have to back and just CS, get your HP, and then you're still good to trade. So it's really hard to force Impact out of this lane.
I was talking to Azael the other day. Not quite just the other day, but about a week ago or so. And he was talking about playing against top lane Cho'Gath and how it's so obnoxious because every time you try to trade with him, once he has a tank item against your kind of damage, it doesn't matter because he just heals back up after auto-attacking the wave.
And in fact, he clears the wave with the E and its maxed ability. Like, there's so much that goes into it that makes it very annoying to have to deal with.
Jensen almost bringing down Kate there. Smoothie goes in, grabbing the pull onto Keith. Nature's Grasp comes through. The Roots are going to find him. That Puppy's not going anywhere, but Jensen might be taken down as a result. Froggen grabbing the kill, flashing back, Culling unleashed as Acadian and Gate continue the chase, but now they back away. A 1-for-1 taking down Jensen. I'd call that worth.
Yeah, and they're going to push out this mid lane, so Froggen CS advantage for himself, and we're going to see it here. Gate gets ultied. It actually hits Keith a little bit there too, but Smoothie coming around on the bottom side where there's no wards. The flash, knock up, pull into Keith, who doesn't have flash. And then the Nature's Grasp, twisted advance. But Froggen with the flank onto Jensen there. Gets him the pickup, and Acadian comes through, but they aren't able to actually continue this. And a lot of that is mid-priority, where Froggen comes in from nowhere because they're starting a fight that Jensen tried to get a shockwave and a kind of a burst damage onto Gate.
This is VIP service right here. Contract was saying,
would you like
don't
a table,
worry,
sir?
I'll hold it for you. Free valet, I'll park your car. You just take care of these. This is your only concern right now. That is how you get an honor after the game, there.
And that's like your jungler is like, he's got raptors to farm, he's got wolves to farm, he's got time. He's got things to do, places to be, but they're not as important as keeping his mid laner in this game against this Lucian. So in terms of an overall big picture thing, I actually feel like that is 100% the right play there to keep your mid laner up against this Lucian still in it.
And remember, this is a composition with 2 big damage threats and 3 gigantic walls that the other team has to break through. As one of the pieces of that big wall, one of the bricks of the team, you don't need as much of a gold influx, I should say, to keep yourself relevant. You're still going to be very tanky, you're still going to bring the CC, but you want Jensen and Sneaky to be as strong as possible, as quickly as possible.
Yeah, the tanks don't need as much gold, but no, don't tell me that in solo queue. No, still take the wave.
I was going to say, like, Contracts is being #1 bro jungler over here, and Zyrene's like, I mean, I might give him blue maybe if I'm feeling generous.
Yeah, he can at least trust his teammates.
That's fair. I take blue a lot of the time in the second one, too.
Yeah, Meteos has that fight all the time. Meteos thinks that second blue belongs to the jungler, and I'm inclined to agree. But every mid laner he plays with is like, no, second blue is mine. And that is the notorious fight between him and Jensen that will last generations.
Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. Where the hell does the blue go?
Meteos,
Brandini getting chased away.
Meteos said the Jensen?
No. What? Jensen getting himself jumped on again. Froggen finding the damage. Jensen not able to turn this one around just yet. Oh. The barrier will provide the bait necessary to turn this into a swift 2-for-0 for Cloud9.
And they were all there to reinforce. 4 people strong in the mid lane now. Jensen got the help, like you said, VIP service. Everybody backing him up there. Contracts from the flank, and Smoothie was there too.
And now they'll take the tier 1 as their reward, going up 2-0 in terms of turret advantage. This is how Cloud9 built their lead last game to Zyrene. They played the objectives better. Not the Drakes, but they did play the turrets and the Rift Herald. In this game, they've got the Drakes along with them.
Yeah, and they're gonna get that top tier 1 as well. And this Rift Herald might go down, which makes it pretty easy to crack that tier 2 on the mid turret.
And Impact has his feast up, so he's gonna get an extra stack from eating Shelly.
Yeah. Oh, let's see what happens here. Yeah. They see Contracts, but they're focused on going after Jensen. They really just want to kill him, and that barrier helps him out, saves him a bit, and they're able to turn it around. So yeah, it's just mostly the macro play there where they were trying to burst and kill him as soon as they could, but the barrier delays it just so slightly. And also the fact that Froggen can't get in auto attack range, I believe because of the Cataclysm. Jensen put himself on the far side of it, which made it so Froggen's 500 auto attack range, he was forced to culling instead and couldn't get all those autos that he wanted.
Rift Herald summoned up. Cloud9 here in the top side, going for the tier 2.
Because everybody's on the Drake on the bottom side of the map. They're like 4 people from Echo Fox are there. This is going to be an inhibitor turret.
Echo Fox is down around that Drake, like really preemptively. There's 30 seconds until it spawns, and Cloud9 is knocking on the top lane door. They've still got Rift Herald here too, and Sneaky, and Contracts, and Smoothie, and Echo Fox just cannot respond in time. Their base is going to be broken open. Grandini now caught out, Contracts in the front line, taunted up. Not really concerned about chasing this any further. Cloud9, Zyrene, looking to get an inhibitor pre-20 minutes.
Yeah, and
You've got to be kidding me.
And this is Echo Fox saying, Infernal Drake up, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, let's go. Keith on it right now saying, I got this, guys. Let me just it just spawn. Everybody's backing for C9 after taking an inhibitor. But
There's a hungry Cho'Gath right down there below him. He might even just come up and bop him.
I don't know. 2,000 HP? Oh, if he walks up and steals this with
He's gonna nom it.
Oh,
He's
no.
gonna nom it.
Oh,
He's
no.
gonna nom it. No! Thanks for leash.
You can't do that to him!
Impact with the Cho'Gath mechanics. Walks over, takes a big bite out of the dragon. I've heard dragon is a delicacy in Cho'Gath world. Righteous Glory to get in there faster and make sure he got the secure.
Has to like
Tragedy, man.
lick all
for
of his
Echo Fox.
fingers afterwards on all 4 of his hands.
Cho'Gath even has fingers? I thought he had spines.
He's got some.
He's got a top hat. No, he's got to have fingers. Smoothie
Anyway.
right behind him as these guys look for more opportunities to maybe make something happen here. But after grabbing the top lane inhib at 17 minutes and then stealing away the Infernal Drake that Echo Fox sacrificed that inhib for, Echo Fox just has to feel really, really bad about that trade. Well,
Yep.
it's not really a trade, just a loss.
Well, the good news for Echo Fox, though, is they got their first turret of the series. They didn't take a single turret last game, and they finally got one. And it was out of mid, and
Oh
Froggo.
no, another pull. This one finding its way onto Froggen, who gets himself to safety back over the wall. Contracts now running away. Nature's Grasp fired off. The taunt from Grandini might be able to lock him down long enough. Nope, Echo Fox has to retreat. Cloud9 still prowling around that jungle, looking for the tier 2, this time bottom lane.
Yeah, and the tanks are already on 2.5 items. Sneaky's on 2 items. Jensen is at like 2, kind of in a half, or 1.5 here, almost having that Leandri's completed. And they're in a really good spot on Cloud9's side.
Cloud9, 2 Drakes up, 6 turrets up, 4 kills up, and about a casual 5,500 gold lead. 19 minutes in. Echo Fox has got to find some way back into this. But at this point, Zyrene, with this much of a deficit early on in the game like this, you're pretty much hoping for a throw from Cloud9. Cloud9 needs to get over-aggressive. They need to make some sort of risky play that Echo Fox then capitalizes on and punishes.
Yeah, and even if they do throw, it's gotta be a really, really hard throw. We're talking like,
Major League Baseball.
yeah,
pitcher.
we're talking about 110-mile-per-hour pitch here.
Yeah.
This has to be really fast and really hard because there's a 5,000 gold deficit for Echo Fox in a composition that is not built to take this to late game except for the Kog'Maw Janna with the Ardent Sensor, whereas they're up against a Tristana, an Orianna, a Maokai, and then the pick potential of having that Blitzcrank on top of everything means it's just so hard to get anything from this team in that mid-late game when you're behind.
Plus, Cho'Gath now has Gargoyle Stoneplate, so when he goes in with Righteous Glory, he's gonna num people for even more damage.
Yeah, and it probably kills this Baron as well.
Oh, Jensen took it. You
I saw
denied
him
the
look for it.
stack.
I saw that Cho'Gath
He
like
started
try
to channel
yeah.
the munch animation, but it didn't work.
Ah.
Unlucky.
He's at 8 stacks right now, so he was able to build the Gargoyle Stoneplate's second item because he's already got 960 bonus HP from his Feast. So he doesn't have to buy like a Warmog or anything like that. He'll just have to pop the Gargoyle Stonepplate after Righteous Glory,
Echo
shove somebody
Fox.
in his mouth, and he'll be good.
Somebody's taking your mid lane turret. You gotta stop him. Cloud9 get the second tier 3 of the game. Inhibitor now exposed. Sneaky will continue putting auto attacks into that until someone tries to stop him. But Echo Fox is not in a place to really try to do that right now. The fights are so hard to take. Acadian's still going to go in anyway.
Impact looking for
He goes
somebody.
in alone and can't do anything. 2 dead. Cloud9 may just find their win right here. The pull onto Keith and a rampage for Sneaky. Gate now jumped on. He's done too. A double kill for the AD carry. And they're going to make this one a clean ace for Cloud9.
And this, 21 minutes in, they're going to take this. This is super close to being the fastest game of the split.
23:08 is the fastest game of the split, and they are nearly going to beat it by 2 whole minutes. Cloud9, we said they wanted to go into playoffs on a hot streak. They made a statement right there.
We're looking at less than 50 minutes of game time here between this series. That's Cloud9 coming in with a 6-match win streak and domination over the teams below them in the standings.
Seriously well played by this team. When you get an inhibitor at 17 minutes, I'm not surprised that you're going to take the Nexus at 21. They did everything they needed to do. They got everything they needed to get. They didn't yield anything unnecessarily. They just played it clean. And again, when they have these picks that work so well for them, when you have Jensen on Orianna, when you have Sneaky on Tristana with Smoothie on some sort of a CC-laden playmaker support, how are you not going to succeed? These guys play these setups so well.
And we always talk about how when you're in playoffs, you're looking for playoff form, you're looking to close out quickly versus bottom teams. 21 minutes and 30 seconds in this game, and that is how you do it. That is how you close a game out when you have just a small advantage. You take the Champions Select wins that you can, you get the wins in those skirmishes, you take the turrets and rotate, and you just play it by the book, honestly. You just keep going and keep that pressure on, and really, that's what you want to see from those teams. Because if this went really long, we're talking like 40 minutes plus, there's always those kind of doubts that get cast on teams when they don't have those types of games against teams below them.
Cloud9 now going to be looking really good going into the playoffs. Echo Fox, though, as we mentioned at the top of the series, their season is over at this point. They're not going into a postseason. They don't have to play in the promotion tournament either. It's now their time to sort of analyze what's going on with the team, what's going to be best to do from here, and how best to proceed.
Yeah, and Echo Fox is a team that has not made playoffs before, ever. So we're looking at like 4 splits here where it's 7th places, 10th places, 9th places. Like they're never really in that zone to be a playoff contender, and they always have really good starts to splits. So there's something that works for them at the start, and then it trails off towards the end. A little bit of that is that unpredictability in their aggression, but it's still those same issues of when they get leads, they don't close the games out, they don't know how to pressure, they don't know how to push it out. So these are the things that Echo Fox are trying to looking to shore up, on top of the fact that they had this kind of 10-man roster, the frontline, backline thing going for them for most of the split, where they were trying to kind of nail down who they wanted to start at what times. And so Echo Fox have been plagued by a lot of issues, and it's kind of, you know, a repeat of what's been happening for them split after split.
And maybe one of the most heartbreaking things about that is how in the games that they win, they actually look really good a lot of the time. When you have Brandini going off on something like a Camille, or Froggen going off on one of the many champions that we've seen him hard carry a game with, this team looks like, wow, that was a good play, that was a good game. But it's just that consistency that you brought up. That's what Echo Fox has to find a way to discover during their time off, coming up now as we approach the end of Summer 2017.
Yeah, and I went back before this series and I watched the last time that Echo Fox and Cloud9 played each other. Echo Fox had a 7,000 gold advantage in game 1, and then they lost. And then in game 2, they had a 4,000 gold advantage, and they lost. And Cloud9 came back right at the end of both of those games, where the gold graph literally looks like it's Echo Fox going to win, and then it goes like 100 in favor of C9 when they end the game. It was so close where Echo Fox hadn't closed, and now this story was that C9 have improved to the point where they get a small lead early, and then they're able to close. Because we were talking about how before Cloud9, oh, they're not taking the turrets. Oh, they're not pushing advantages early, or they're that mid-late game team, not so much an early game team, but this showed more proactivity from Contracts and Smoothie to be aggressive when they saw the opportunities. Both mid and bottom were kind of owned by the jungler and the support of Cloud9.
Yeah, those two did a lot working together. But for more on the Cloud9 win, let's go ahead and check in with Degon and the triumphant bot laner.
Hello, thanks guys. Great cast on the day. I'm joined with Smoothie here on stage, and with Sneaky. Sorry, Sneaky. And Sneaky, talk to me a little bit about. Sorry about that. Talk to me a little bit about this series here in general. It looked almost like the Cloud9 of old, where you found a kill and then took a ton right afterwards.
Yeah, I think we've been finding our stride a lot more. There's just something we've been doing in practice where we're talking about like actually contesting objectives, and that just creates a whole lot more fights that we're able to win, because you know we're picking these team tank comps where like we just have too much to go through. Like they have, you know, Maokai, Jarvan, like stuff to really initiate, and not get killed instantly. So it's been feeling a lot easier. Yeah.
So you've been a very versatile AD carry throughout your career, and does this team tank type team comp like let you carry even harder?
Yeah, definitely, because there's just people in front of you to be soaking all the CC and damage, and it kind of like frees you up in fights if you're in the correct formation. Whereas, if you're playing against assassins, like you have to play super far back or absolutely have your flash up ready to jump out of their, kill target tool, like, Zetalt and stuff. So it is definitely easy to play in the team tank comps.
So talking a little bit about you as an AD carry in general, you had a deathless game in this one, and you've had a pretty great split so far. What do you think your chances are of being all NALCS AD carry, the #1 AD carry in North America? Crowd agrees.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I get voted for. I don't know. I mean, I think I've been improving a lot this split. I think me and Smoothie were playing really well, like last split as well, and then it's kind of translated over here. We did have a few slumps this split that we're not very proud of, but we are glad to be improving on it. So yeah, I hope I can prove myself by the end of playoffs.
So talking about playoffs, you guys have had a mixed bag of results, sometimes winning the championship as the banners hang up there, but sometimes kind of falling short. What have you guys done this split to make sure that you guys have another banner up there?
This is always just like an extra push of drive to, go the extra mile because, Worlds is coming up. It's just summer split, and we're all motivated to do the best we can. So I don't know if there's anything specific that I can really point out right now, but I know we've been all trying really hard to put another banner up on the wall.
Well, best of luck against Dignitas in your playoff game. Thank you very much, Sneaky, for this interview. For more, let's go ahead and send it on over to the analyst desk.
Thank you, Degon. Mark, Cloud9 looks damn good.
They
here
look better
at
going into the
close of
playoffs
season.
than we do. Everyone's other casters getting each other's names wrong. Not
we look
us, not us.
super fresh right now.
We're perfect, but I
what
just
you're
mean
talking
like
about.
Pastry getting Ovely's name wrong, and all that,
Degon calling him Smoothie. I don't know what's gotten into these
We
guys.
got to shape up, man.
All right,
Like
well,
C9.
but C9 has shaped up, moving to 12-6 to close out their regular season. Let's recall that a lot of people were down on this team coming out of Rift Rivals, saying what happened to this squad. They didn't put up a good performance internationally and had questions about whether or not C9 would be able to make a run even to the playoffs. People were talking about them maybe even dropping out of 6th in that midway point in the season, and here they are, 12-6. They're one, if CLG loses today, they will be actually matched in match record with our third place team.
It's a season that when you look at the middle period, they looked like they were completely lost. They were having problems with their top laners. Like you said, the Rift Rivals performance was pretty mediocre when you see P1 going 5-1. So understandably, people were down on this team, but I want to make sure that people are starting to kind of flip their mentality where they went on a super hot run at the end of the split. Jensen's looking like the MVP candidate that we thought he was at the start of the split.
Exactly.
And their bot lane's making plays all over the map right now. I mean, so this is a team that if you're sleeping on them, you might be in a rude awakening in playoffs.
They ended their season. Their final game is the fastest game of the split at 21:32. They got an inhibitor at 17 minutes with a Rift Herald play in this game, and then still managed to secure the Infernal Drake. That poor
God, that
Keith
was so sad.
working his butt off to get, and Impact comes in and steals it from under his nose. But again, I really do. I have to point towards, specifically in this game as well, Smoothie and Sneaky. For all the action they created early in the game in terms of picking up those kills and building the advantage. And that's why, again, I think we look away from Jensen. Yeah, he's the solid, consistent performer for this team. It's about the rest of the squad stepping up around him, and we're really starting to see that, the other four playing like top dogs.
I think that's the big thing, is you even heard in the interview Sneaky kind of hinting at the fact that they slumped at different points over the season. Right at the beginning, they weren't playing playmakers, and they started playing them, they looked better, then the whole team slumps in the middle of the split. So now, once again, finally getting into complete form where Smoothie, the last 2 series, has completely been going off, making all the plays in the early game, comboing together with contracts at different points as well, and just been a huge influence on this game.
I mean, look at that gold graph. I mean, the fact that it only goes to 21 minutes is
That's
to begin with.
deceptive.
Yeah, it actually makes it look like kind of a
Slow game.
a slow game because of how even it was for how much of that graph. But you have to remember that the lead builds there at 12, 13 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we broke down a game just previously where the same goal graph happened, but it was at 22 minutes, and we're saying, oh, it's slow, but like you got to realize, 11, 12 minutes there, 13 minutes that this game completely blows open. And like we said, a lot of that was off the back that Echo Fox did have a very aggressive early game comp where they have this Lucian pick in the mid lane that's going to hold down Jensen a little bit. He got out of the lane just fine, and then with the help of Contracts, they turned a couple big plays in the mid lane.
Contracts picking up player of the game for this one. I mean, it's all about the early action. It was the duo lane with Contracts making the the ganks happen down there in the bot lane, enabling them to pick up those kills with a little bit of a tank presence. And overall, again, let's recall that this guy had a fantastic rookie split last split, and we were looking for him to continue and mold into more of a veteran jungler. What's your assessment of him as an individual moving into playoffs? Do you feel like he has what it takes to stack up against the likes of, the Svenskarens, the Xmithis, these other top-tier junglers that he's going to have to go up against?
I think he's been looking phenomenal since the second half of the split. I think of the members who stepped back up, he was the first one to start doing it.
Okay.
Jensen was solid pretty much the whole time.
I want to see more Kane just because he was so good.
Yeah, that was quite the show, but I think he was one of the first guys to really start getting back online when Impact, before all the tanks came back, and he found his groove, before Smoothie was making all these plays. Contracts was kind of the number 2 guy in this team, making a lot of stuff happen. And I was someone who was a little bit of a hater on him last split. I didn't think he was stepping up that well. Though we did get rookie of the split, it was one of those ones where it was a really tough call for me.
Right.
And I think this time around, really undoubtedly one of the top junglers in the league right now.
Honorable mention to Smoothie, though, as well, on that Blitzcrank, playing it very well. Let's talk about Echo Fox just briefly. They finished their year, or rather their split here, at 5-13. Continued struggles for this organization, that there was a lot of hype around, again, the infrastructure to support these players and building a roster that they would sit on and, evolve over time. And we're not necessarily seeing the results in terms of victories.
No, not at all. And I think much like the Team Liquid organization, during that interview with Steve, he said, at least we try. I think Echo Fox, much the same way, has always tried. They brought in different people. They brought in Looper this season. They have the frontline, backline thing going on. But at the end of the day, you look at the results and they're not there. This is a roster that has been largely the core of it the same for 2 seasons in a row. And when you ask most experts, they say that it really doesn't take more than a year for a team to peak generally. If you're not peaking by the end of your summer split after keeping a team together, it's probably just not going to work out. And I think that's kind of the case where they need to rebuild this team from the ground up moving forward.
Something to consider moving into the postseason. That match might be wrapped up, but we still have our marquee matchup on the way. TSM battles to the end of the split in first place versus their longtime rivals, Counterlogic Gaming. Don't go anywhere. You're watching North American LCS.
So look at this, they're getting engaging.
Here we go.
And here comes Contracts. Contracts willing to let him go for it. Nice pull back onto the enemy support. Can they bring him down? I think so. First blood of the Sneaky.
Party bot. Those guys? One shot. Back. Down. This way? Come over. I can't get Lucian. He's dead. I'm okay. I'm healing this guy. I'm coming mid. I can't move him. He's dead. Nice. Let's push. Yeah, get mid right next. My God, Quiston. Maybe tower done. It was done. Oh shit, what the fuck? Thank you, sir. Oh, what the hell? I'm coming down mid, okay?
Cloud9 may just find their win right here. The pull on the Keith and a rampage for Sneaky. Gate now jumps on. He's done too. A double kill for the AD carry. And they're going to make this one a clean ace for Cloud9.